MVP.
Renters do every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that rent's due, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 116. Full squad in. Al Ryan. Playoff C is here. The Calgary Flames hat, and myself, Adam Seltzer. Gents, it is October. There is chill in the air. It's getting
you got that flannel blanket in the background there.
Yeah,
the fall decor.
The fall decor is in. You can see up top there the Phillies 2008 playoff picture. We're ready to go. It's a red October, and we're going to get it started tonight.
Well, before we start with sports, though, guest. Seltzer, I think, has a little bone to pick with you, missing out on Mr. Hayden's first birthday party this past weekend.
Listen, the guest family was there in representation. Al's stirring the pot.
That's man. I mean, Hayden's a good young brother, but you know what?
Couldn't even sing Happy Birthday.
I gotta make sure that the twin girls are they're on their P's and Q's here.
He was crying that his Uncle Chris wasn't there. He was crying.
Yeah, you could have sent him a video or something, like a cameo.
I'm trying to raise his future girls for his touch football team.
Well, guest here, I got one more thing here. I found out from your lovely wife, Sarah, that you get your haircut in New Jersey. Now, wait a minute. Now, for the people that are tuning in and watch this on YouTube, I took the liberty of showing everybody. If you take a look at the screen here, this is how far Guest goes.
Wait a minute. Now, would you be serious?
This is how far Guest travels to get his hair cut. He goes once a week.
Once a week?
No. First of all, that is a brother thing to do, Al. You know we keep it crisp.
An hour and 10 minutes to Voorhees Township.
Let's also say this, Al. That's an hour, 10 minutes without traffic.
What is he even talking about? No, listen. I go to Ian's because he does a good buzz cut. All right. And obviously, as it being a friend, there's no cost. When you guys know, when you got kids, let alone 2 infants, every dollar is precious.
Wait.
So if I gotta go an hour, and then also at the same time, you get some camaraderie. You get a beer or two. You have libation.
Wait a minute.
You get your hair cut.
What is a buzz like? What I have a buzz cut.
Yeah. What do you like?
You just do it yourself.
Oh, see, I never had to do that.
Yes,
you drive 110 minutes.
Yeah, the real cost here is time. It's an hour and 10 there, plus probably an hour to do the hair, and then an hour and 10 back.
Well, it's not just for the hair. Like I said, you get other things. I get to see my goddaughter. I get to have a nice little meal. I get a drink or two in there. Yeah. You make a night out of it.
He's in it for that POM out, that peace of mind. He's got to get out of that house.
Oh yeah, hey, I mean
you've been exposed, guest.
That's also important, Seltzer.
I told Sarah that she could go wherever she wanted. We would vouch that she was still at the party. I don't know what her plans were.
I know. She told me. And she'd be fine with that. Listen, a big part of why we made the decision, I said, you know what? There's different things I do to get out. She doesn't do as many things as I do to get out of the house when we can. So I said, you know what? I'll take the kids. Since they're all sick, I'll watch them. You get a chance to get out. And that was that. Like, for instance, getting my hair cut, that's a night.
Well,
that's a night I get.
I know a great hair salon in New Jersey, Sarah, if you're listening.
All right, let's get into it, boys. Major League
Ian,
Baseball.
by the way, friend of the podcast. By the way, my barber.
Yeah, shout out. And if you need a haircut, go see my man Ian. He'll hook you up for sure.
Hey, yo.
MLB playoffs started today. Phillies get a bye for the first time. They're not competing in the wild card round. And now we'll play the winner of the Mets and the Brewers. Mets take a 1-0 series lead today. The Mets obviously get in with a dramatic win yesterday in the regular season finale with the Braves, one of the best baseball games I've seen in recent years. Just as a point of comparison, Philly 7-6 versus the Mets this year, 4-2 versus the Brewers. Let's open the conversation with, I think, a question that we're all going to be on the same page with. But who would you rather see in the first round? We'll start with you, Al.
All right. Well, when I broke down the numbers, first of all, I want to put this out there. I'm not scared of either of these two teams in the NLDS. I mean, we worked all season. The Phillies worked all season to earn this bye and host that series, so they're in the spot that they deserve to be in. I'm not scared.
We did too, Al. We did talk about these dudes for 8 months.
You're right. You're right about that. I think that we play better, and we played better in the regular season against Milwaukee. The Brewers only scored 2 runs in 3 games at Citizens Bank Ballpark. Zach Wheeler went 2-0 against them with a 1.29 ERA. Christopher Sanchez, 1.50 ERA. Aaron Nola, 1-0 with a 0.64 ERA against the Brew Crew. With all that said, it's probably the smart thing to say, Brewers, I want the Mets. Give me the Mets, because I think a series against a division rival that we haven't seen in the playoffs in I don't know how long could potentially provide a little bit of a wake-up call after what's going to be a long layoff. I want the Mets. I live for and I love the drama. And as I said, I'm not scared of the Mets. God, am I not scared of the Mets. So give me the New York Mets.
So, yeah, I think that you're right. The smart thing would be to say that you'd rather play the Brewers. I agree with you that I'm not afraid of either one of these teams. But I will say, between my house is divided because my in-laws are Mets fans, specifically my sister-in-law, who is a very big avid Mets fan. I don't know, especially after that Knicks-Sixers series, I don't know if I can take this stress with these people anymore. I really don't. I don't know if I can take another series with these New Yorkers. It's a lot. I would love, if I knew what was going to happen ultimately, we knew we were going to win, then yeah, I want them and I want to be able to knock them out. But we don't know that. And it's just a lot on my GI to have to take these people on. But with that being said, though, I agree, Al, all jokes aside, I think Milwaukee is a better matchup for the Phillies. I think the Mets, not that either team are scared to come in here, but I think that as a division rival, the Mets could be to the Phillies what the Phillies have been to the Braves. And I think that that's something that we have to look out for. And also to finish your point, Al, the Phillies and Mets have never played in the playoffs, actually, in their histories. So that'll be a first. So we don't know what the hell we're going to be in for if that happens, let alone to start off with a Saturday night. Woo!
So I'll say this to you guys. I was not scared of either team, but I'm starting to draw a little fear of these New York Mets. And this is a franchise that has been cursed for years. I mean, it's been in our lifetime, the Mets have never really had a great run. They've been to a couple World Series where they haven't won. And I'm watching the game yesterday, and they come out and they score. They're down 3-0. They score 6 runs, and they come out in the next inning, and Edwin Diaz forgets to cover first base. Next thing you know, Ozzie Albies is hitting one off the wall, and it's just like this happened. It's the Mets again. The Mets will always find a way to lose this game until they didn't. And Francisco Lindor comes up and pops a home run over the fence in the 9th inning. They steal a game, and all of a sudden you're starting to get like this team of destiny vibes. You know, they fly out to Milwaukee on short rest. You know, they go out and Severino throws and they whoop the Brewers tonight.
They came back again today, though.
Say it again.
Yeah. Came back again today.
That's right. Yeah, they came back today. They were down 4-3. They win 8-4. And I'm starting to just get these vibes of a team of destiny that feels like 2003 Marlins-ish to me, that it was a team that just rode that momentum all the way through. And I do think the Phillies are better than both of these teams, but I would feel more comfortable against the Brewers. You know, this Brewers team is not necessarily the same Brewers type of team we've seen over the past 4 or 5 years. They actually have a pretty good offense, but they're lacking in the starting pitching. Seem to have been the opposite in the past years. They have a couple, real good bats. William Contreras, Jackson Churio is a young stud who you'll see a lot of. Willie Adames. But I think, especially after tonight, I think that it's going to be the Mets, guys.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I agree. They're rolling, and they do have that I'm not calling them a team of destiny. I'm not going that far. But they are hot going into the playoffs. I like our chances, though. Look, like, think about it from a Mets fan's perspective. Look at our lineup. Look at our starting pitching. Look at our bullpen. You know what I mean? That's a daunting task to have to beat the Phillies 3 games out of 5, going away for 3 of those games at Citizens Bank, which is going to be hell on earth for these teams again.
But this Mets team right now, even their fans, they're playing with house money. They didn't expect to be here. Whatever happens at this point happens.
Well, and that's what I was talking about earlier when I said about how they potentially could be the Phillies of this year against when we did it against the Braves back-to-back season. So that's a little bit, I don't want to, I guess, slightly concerning, but also you got to think about from the other end of that perspective too, like the way that the Mets lost a couple games recently at Citizens Bank Park. You got to wonder if that's going to be in their heads a lot when they come back here for games 1, 2, and ultimately possibly game 5. They had the opposite happen to them where we came back on them and still wins. So how much that's going to play in their psyche when they come back here? And that was a close to playoff environment, at least they think it was, until they come in here when it really is a playoff environment and they see the difference.
True. And you do the one thing, to your point, Chris, the one advantage the Brewers definitely have over the Mets is the Brewers bullpen is a lot better than what the Mets have. So again, those late game comebacks, there's opportunities there. No, you're right. It wasn't tonight, but all in all, the Brewers, I think, had the second best bullpen in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Behind Cleveland. So that's definitely an advantage there. The other thing for me is again, like the Mets have left-handed pitching, although it's not power lefties. It's still Quintana and Peterson and Manea are guys who have, I always struggle. The Phillies seem to struggle against left-handed pitching. When you have guys like Marsh and Stott who don't necessarily hit that style of pitching from that side, I'd rather face the Brewers who feature all right-handers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that again, though, Al's had some good points tonight already. Like, you look at it from the other end of it, facing Wheeler, Sanchez, Nola, possibly Ranger, possibly Wheeler twice. That's a lot.
Yeah,
and pound for pound, from March to now, that foursome has been you could argue has been the best in baseball.
Yeah, maybe not the second half. At least a threesome.
Well, that's what I'm saying from the beginning of the year to now. But yeah, I mean, recently, obviously, a couple of them have had some issues. But which one is going to show up? The most recent ones, or the ones that we've seen for the majority of the year?
The Mets haven't been that special either at the plate. I mean, they're only hitting .230 in the last month of the season. If you look at the schedule, who they played down the stretch, boy, oh boy, lots of cupcakes, lots of non-playoff teams on that schedule. You're talking White Sox, Reds, Blue Jays, Nats. I mean, I don't know. Maybe a little bit of this is inflated.
But they are doing what they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're beating they were beating who was in front of them. But yeah, I don't think the Mets are world beaters. But at the same time, if we let them, sneak into the door, not to be confused with the door of doom in the back behind Al, but albeit it might be a slim door for them to sneak in, just like that door is.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
And not only sneak into door, Chris, but they can sneak into Citizens Bank Park. We've seen that. As much as we want to say that we don't want that to happen in playoffs, it's happened over at the Wells Fargo Center this year, where the Knicks fans, they got in.
And I just told Sarah shortly before I got on here, when we were watching the end of that game, and I said to her, "This is what I don't want." And it was showing the Mets fans like the cockroaches that they can be all over Milwaukee with all their OMGs and all their stupid orange crap. And obviously Milwaukee's a different place as far as being able to get that availability. But you're right. We did see the Knicks take over. How much of that was the Sixers' fault? Are the Phillies fans going to let that happen as much as the Sixers did? I don't know.
Yeah. And Milwaukee is a hell of a lot tougher to get to from New York than Philadelphia is.
Right. And I give them credit for those that actually traveled and not New Yorkers living in Milwaukee because they were running away because New York sucks. I give them credit for traveling to that distance for these games. But again, we'll see how it goes. I think that a lot of those guys have not, being in Philly in a playoff game, in a playoff series is a lot different than being in Milwaukee.
And we're going to talk about the rotation, I know, but Seltz, you talked about it. Jose Quintana, Luis Severino, they don't scare me. Jose Quintana hasn't beaten anybody since July.
Yeah, but he plays well against the Phillies historically, though, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like I always feel like he always gets like 6 innings, 1 run against the Phillies.
He has pitched well against the Phillies, at least I don't have the stats, but visually, I agree with you, Chris. I feel like
in the series at Citizens Bank, he did shut us down in that one game that he pitched against us. 7 innings, no runs. I wasn't going to mention that, Chris.
Yeah.
Fact check.
Well, see,
Fact check.
Listen, it's a great. A lot of people might be putting us on pause for later on because they're watching the debate tonight. But there's all facts on this show. We're not doing any skewing,
right.
no spin rooms. All right, we don't do that here.
We're not eating any kittens. We're not eating any puppies.
No cats, none of that.
The verses in the chat. Philly's about to get cooked 3-0 by the Mets. Still on brand for us. We'll have to see, Greg. We'll have to see. All right, listen, we obviously talked a ton over the summer about some of the struggles the Phillies went through throughout the year. I want to talk about your concerns going into the playoffs. What are you most concerned with going in? I'll start with you, Chris.
Just the lineup in terms of that inconsistency of, are we going to get a team that's going to mash, hit balls out the park and score 6, 7, 8 runs? Or are we going to get a team that we're lucky to see get 6 hits in a game? And it doesn't even matter to me who's on the mound, because we've sat up there and we've seen the Phillies get shut down by Jags, and we've seen them get shut down by aces. So it doesn't really matter to me about that. It's all about, like, it goes to what we said about earlier. I'm not afraid of any of these teams. If you just look on paper and if you look on the body of work throughout the year, the Phillies they should get through this National League. All right. However, what's in front of them that's their enemy is themselves. And if they sit up there at the plate and they let themselves get fooled by, high heat fastball after fastball after fastball. I've never seen a team that just can't hit a fastball that's this good. It's really strange. But if they sit up there and they let that happen and they just swing and miss their way out of a game, the playoffs in baseball is short. You could, it's Red October one day, and in 4 days, Red October is a thing of the past. Yep. So they got to come correct with that lineup.
Guess you took the words out of my mouth. The Phillies, their own worst enemy is themselves. The only thing that I'm worried about is the demons of 2023 rearing their ugly heads, because we were in a position where we were already trying to get tickets to the World Series when we found ourselves 1 win away from punching that ticket against the Diamondbacks, and then they simply forgot how to hit. So we know that is there. That possibility is there. The swinging at the low and away is there. The popping up and grounding out to those fastballs, the high heat is there. So that's also my concern. The layoff obviously has something to do with that. The last 2 years, we watched and listened to all the national pundits pick the Braves to roll through the NL after they rolled through the regular season the way we just did. And we saw what happened to the Braves 2 years in a row. Teams with a bye, since the MLB has changed to this format of playoffs, are only 3-5 in the divisional series. And only one team has gone on to winning it all, and that's the Astros. So I think that, baseball, we've talked about this a bunch before, guys. It's a game of repetition. It's a game of routine. And when you take these guys out of that repetition and routine, can they get back into it? Playing against a team that has done it now, because they had to play in that wild card and that grind. So we'll see. I know, Adam, you're going to chime in here. I'm interested to see, this simulated game. I know that they're trying to make this into something of a big deal. I heard that they're trying to, Middleton said they're going to put money on the game and this and that. The one thing I think is missing from that simulated game is why the hell they're not opening it up to the public. Because they
Didn't
would.
The Dodgers do that, or somebody did that?
Braves did it.
Braves did it, but the fans don't even go to their actual game, so they weren't going to go to an exhibition. Yeah. That an inter-squad game, gearing up for the playoffs, you sell those seats for $10, $20 a ticket. They're going to fill that stadium.
I wouldn't even sell that.
I wonder if it has to do with, hiring, like they had to bring in people to clean the stadium, etc. They had to bring in workers and stuff like that. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. I agree with you.
$1 billion industry. They should be able to do that at the snap of a finger.
Yeah, no, you're right. All right, I'll take a little bit of a different route, although it's kind of up there. But Trey Turner had an interesting quote last week, and his quote was, and I'm summarizing here, this is not exact. He goes, where do I have? He basically said, it's difficult to get up for some of these games because they don't mean anything at all. And this team hasn't really played a game that has mattered since May? give or take. They've had the division on wrap for a while now. Maybe June.
I would disagree with that. I mean,
I would disagree too because it got tight there for a little bit.
The division was 8 games.
Yeah, but they had a 7 or 8 game lead in September, and they knew they were going to play the Braves and the Mets 7 times for the Mets. So those games mattered. I mean, it wasn't like a do or die game.
They made those games not matter by winning them.
Correct. But my point is this. They won a lot of them early. They didn't win as many late. My point is this team going into the playoffs the last 2 years has been fighting for their wild card spot. This playoff spot, whether you want to say has been sewn up for a substantial period of time. So is this team now going to be able to turn on that intensity, which honestly I don't think we've seen for at least 2 or 3 months for this group? I think they have it in them because I've seen it in the past few playoffs, but we're going to have to see it again because I'm not sure that they've come with the intensity that is needed for a playoff push in September. For instance, the way the Mets had to play down the stretch where every game mattered or they weren't getting in. They haven't had that pressure on them this year, and they have in the past.
But that's still a part of their DNA because this is still the same core makeup of the team from 2 years ago where they did have to do that. So I trust this team because I trust that the battles they've been through in 2022 and 2023 have prepared them for the battle that they face this year, which is a different test. It's a different kind of test, as you're saying.
Right. That's my point. Is I do think they can do it. I'm not saying, but I'm a little bit concerned. I need to see it.
Right.
I mean, we talk about how they have all these leaders in the clubhouse, the Schwarbers, the Harpers, and the Real Mutos, all these guys. So now it's time to step up. It's time to be that person that we all think you can be or that you are. I think that a guy like, for instance, actually speak right on cue there. I'll say a guy like Ranger Suarez, who has not had a great second half, he's a perfect candidate to be a guy who's going to step up in this spot. And I believe in Ranger. I still would give him that spot, that start in this round. I still would. I have faith in him to get the job done because I feel like he has that mental makeup that he's going to be able to say, all right, you know what? I got to turn it on like ultra alpha mode right now. And I think he can do that. But it's tough though, because like we've seen this team, like I said earlier, man, we've seen this team just all of a sudden, even in playoff games that are must-win games, just offensively go in the shells. We've seen them get no hit in the World Series. I mean, like, there's no more do or die than that. So we don't really know what we're going to end up seeing still. And that's part of my fear and my concern. If we see a team that's going to be able to turn the switch on and it's Red October and they're ready to roll, then I think that they can do serious damage and get the job done. But if we're seeing a team that's pressing and it feels that pressure and they're squeezing the bats a lot and, you know, the bats feel a little bit heavier every at bat and everything is just a little bit faster, I don't know.
A game 1 loss would be disgusting,
especially with Wheeler being the one that's pitching.
Yeah,
that's the worst part about that.
Yep.
And you will see Suarez because they're not going to throw Wheeler on 3 days rest, and the game 4 would be a Ranger start. We talk, Al. You want to touch a little bit on the rotation? I think we're all on the same page here, but go ahead, hit me with any thoughts you have on the rotation.
Are we? Because I think unless we lose that first game, I'm throwing Christopher Sanchez game 2.
Absolutely.
And I'm saving Aaron Nola
completely
for game 3 because Christopher Sanchez's splits home and away, he's a completely different pitcher this season. He has a 2.21 ERA at home versus a 5.02 ERA on the road. He has a 5.82 strikeout to walk ratio on the at home, and 8.1 strikeouts per 9, and a sub-1 whip. If Wheeler wins game 1, I'm throwing Sanchez game 2, which I think he's earned. And
I'll do it anyway, Al.
Right, and then I'm relying on my veteran arm in Aaron Nola to win game 3 on the road in a place where he's been before.
And also, Nola's gotten the job done on the road in a big game before. Versus Sanchez, who will be a little bit of an unknown commodity in that specific spot. I think Sanchez has been lights out at home. I would absolutely throw him game 2.
Yep.
So let me jump on Diverse and beat me to the punch here. The points are valid as far as the home road splits and what you want to do here. But Topper has always been a player's manager. He's not going. Nola is his number 2. He's not going to turn his back on that. It's going to be Aaron Nola in game 2.
That's fine. This is what I would do. This is not what I'm saying is going to happen. I'm saying I would start Sanchez game 2.
And I agree, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that, I mean, it's not rocket science. If you look at the stats, you look at the numbers, baseball's a game of numbers and facts and figures. It clearly tells you Sanchez is a way better option at home than he is on the road.
But the question is like, and this is not for us to say, why, right? Why does he struggle on the road?
I mean, he's not the only guy in the world that does that. I mean, there's just certain guys that whether it's the home cooking or the home whatever he's getting, or the showers or whatever the hell it is that he likes or prefers, the warm-ups, whatever it is, he performs better at home. I mean, 2.21 versus what was it out on the road? 5 what?
Over 5.
That's significant difference. A 7-3 record at home, 100 strikeouts, like that's significant. And I think that, again, for whatever reason, he just is very comfortable on that mound. And there's no reason to rock that boat unnecessarily. And Nola's a veteran. Nola's not going to – I would be shocked if Nola was pissed because he started game 3 instead of game 2 when he could be the anchor to end the series.
So, Al, you did say, however, if you lost game 1, you would go Nola game 2.
Because I just trust him more in that spot, that's now a high-pressure situation to win game 2.
See, I would still go Sanchez. I'm in on Sanchez game 2 regardless. Based on him and with his numbers at home. Now, if we were on the road, that'd be a different thing. I would put Wheeler Nola back.
Let me throw another fact that points into Sanchez's direction in that case is we talked about Ranger in game 4. And we said earlier this year when Ranger was rolling that he's earned the right to not have that quick hook in the playoff game. He's lost that respect. He's going to have a quick hook in the playoff game. But you have a guy in Aaron Nola who, if he throws game 3, I can almost guarantee Nola's getting at least 6 or 7 innings into the game. When I don't necessarily – I want to believe Sanchez will give me that, but I don't necessarily believe it as much as I believe it for Nola. So then you have a fresher bullpen for game 4 if you have to go to it early if Ranger struggles.
Well, he's going 5 innings, 7 innings, and 5 2/3 against the Mets this year. All Phillies wins every time.
Nola or
Sanchez.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, all that being said, I just think that the arrow points to Sanchez for game 2. Like, there's no – if you go with Nola, it's solely just on
reputation,
reputation and his pay. Honestly, you're paying him more money. You want to be in a big spot for you, and you're going to put him in the second game.
Yeah, I disagree with that. Aaron Nola has also earned the right to pitch second. Aaron Nola, I think, is still a better pitcher than Christopher Sanchez all around.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying I'm playing this game by game, series by series. I mean, this is chess. We're not just talking about, all right, well, he's your number 2 guy in the season. He's your number 2 guy in the play. You never know what's going to happen in the playoffs. These guys, you talk about 6, 7 innings. Listen, if you get 6 or 7 innings out of a starter in today's baseball playoffs, that's an excellent outing. Like, it doesn't always happen that way. So I'm playing this. I'm micromanaging every single game.
Guest Aaron Nola's only complete game shutout of the season. Where was it?
I'm going to say City Field.
City Field, baby. Back in May.
See, and so there you go. He likes pitching up there.
You know, and you know what? Topper does have to. I mean, we've said this before. He does have to do a little bit more micromanaging of the team. He won't. I'm not expecting to see it, but that's his weakness as a manager, is that he's not willing to change and adapt when it looks as though things are not going the way he wants them to go, or they have gone in the past.
And as someone, a guy like Sanchez, do you really want him thrown out there in Queens for his first playoff start of the season? Like, I just don't think it's a good fit. I
also don't know if Nola has the mentality to face the New York fans, but that's another story. But
well, you guys
are swaying me a little bit. You guys are swaying me a little bit.
And what a great way to hype a team up, too. Like, to name the game 2 stars, Sanchez, your young gun who had an awesome season.
Yeah, and like I said, Nola gets the challenge of sitting this team down for the winner. He has the challenge of being the anchor to drop the dagger on this team, assuming we're up 2-0 or hoping we're up 2-0, and going into New York and ending their season. I would much rather trust him to do that than I would Chris Sanchez.
Yeah.
And that's being a huge fan of Sanchez. You remember one time in this season, I told you guys I thought he was the most consistent pitcher we had. Now, that was earlier in the year. But he was probably, I mean, at this point, I'd say he's still the second best.
You were on him last year.
Yeah.
Kick rocks, Taversa. We're out. We're out.
let's get to predictions for the first round. So let's start with the matchup we don't see happening: Phillies Brewers. I'll start. I got Phillies 3-0 over the Brewers if it gets to that.
Oh, same.
I have the Phillies in 4 if it goes with the Brewers.
Okay, let's go to the Mets series. Let's start with you, Chris.
Again, I wish it was just cut and dry. You know me. I'm never that dude. If the Phillies show up, this could be a 3-game series. If they let a 96-mile-an-hour fastball and higher freak them out, they're going to be out at Citi Field. It's going to be the last game of the season. I can't give you a prediction. That's my prediction.
You predicted Marlins in 2 last year.
That's my prediction. I'm going to tell you in game 1. How about this? In game 1, if they win game 1 and they score like more than 5 runs, they're going to win the series easily. But if they struggle in game 1, I might be flipping the other way. Not because I'm afraid of the Mets, but I'm afraid of the Phillies' inconsistencies at the plate with their big hitters.
Let's go to somebody who will put his neck on the line. Al,
I got Phillies in 4. Phillies in 4 is the easy money, and sometimes you just got to take the easy money off the table when it's there sitting in front of you. So give me Phillies in 4.
All right.
Hold on, Diversa. Listen, this dude, he just said 3-0 2 minutes ago. Now he says 5. Good thing he ain't in the jury because I'd work him. I'd flip him over.
I got the Phillies in 5. I had that this morning when I did my notes. I watched the game tonight. I wanted to switch to Mets in 5, but you guys have talked me back off the ledge. We'll still get 2 Wheeler starts, which hopefully we have to win both, and then you have to win a game in the middle. So give me Phillies in 5. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. I think the atmospheres are going to be crazy. I can't wait to get down there on Saturday. And listen, playoff baseball is the most stressful sport to watch. There's no question about it.
Every single pitch.
I don't know, man. The NFL's do or die.
Dude, but every pitch in baseball.
Yeah, it's baseball,
right? Man. It is a lot.
Do you remember what it was like watching Craig Kimbrell pitch last year in Utah football?
Yeah, we're sitting here without a ring because of it.
Pacing around in my living room.
Fingernails.
Pacing around my living room, flopping all over the floor with every pitch.
Yeah. It's tremendous. And I mean, look, this wild card round is interesting. You got teams like the Astros go down 1-0. The Orioles go down 1-0. Now you got only lose one more game and you're done.
Yep. You talk about teams of destiny, Al, or Seltzer. I mean, those teams in the AL that came out of nowhere all of a sudden, they both got 1-0 leads. Detroit and Kansas City.
I'm a guy who plays fantasy baseball. I play in 2 leagues. I'm not as deep of a baseball fan as I was before. I looked at the Detroit Tigers lineup today. I only knew 3 guys in that lineup.
Who? The
Tigers.
Oh, the Tigers. Oh, yeah. Is Matt Vierling playing?
He's leadoff. He's hitting leadoff.
Yeah, he had a good year. I mean, I looked at a couple of stats earlier in the season, like in August. I didn't see it since then, but he was having a pretty good statistical season.
Last I checked, they got Moondog Rex hitting and cleanup. They got Mike Saxon in the 3.
Boyd is on. Cam Boyd on that team.
Really, really quickly, I'm going to run through this lineup. Matt Vierling leading off. We obviously know him because he's a Philly.
Travis Fryman.
Batting second is Justin Henry Malloy.
Yeah.
Riley Green's hitting 3rd. I know who that is. Andy Ibanez 4th. Wenzel Perez 5th. Spencer Torkelson, I know. Then you got Parker Meadows, Jake Rogers, and Trey Sweeney. That's the lineup for the Tigers.
Yeah, but they up 1-0.
They got your boy Scoople.
Well, Scoople came up. Yeah, I mean, dude, he's boss, man. He came through correct, man. Yeah. He's good.
All right.
I was on him early too.
I want to close baseball, and then we're going to touch on the abomination of a football game last week with the World Series predictions. So I'm going to open it up. I'm just not ready to go Phillies this year. I did last year. So if everybody says I'm not I always go against the Phillies. I did pick them last year. I just think everything we saw the week before the season, I think it's Shohei Ohtani's time. I think this is his year. Obviously, he goes 50-50. I think he leads the Dodgers to the title this year. I got Dodgers over Yankees, but I'm intrigued by the Kansas City Royals. I'm just going to leave that there.
Bobby Witt Jr. might be the best player in baseball.
Bobby Witt Jr. is a stud. They got underrated pitching, and they got dudes who have sneaky been there before. Salvador Perez has been there when they were there 15. Yuli Gurriel is there. He's been there with the Astros a couple times. And there's another guy too as
How
well.
about my man Vinny P?
How about the versus prediction for Guest?
Yeah.
Guest picks the Calgary Flames over the Guardians.
See, it's all about the C because that's my name, bro. It's all about the drip. See, the Versa don't know about the drip. We don't know about matching the drip.
Wait, real quick. I always get confused. Is Salvador Perez related to the Perez that was on Baseball Tonight?
No, that's
Was that
Eduardo? That's Eduardo.
But are they related? They're like the same dude.
They
You
look
trying
the
to
same.
say that all the Hispanic dudes look alike?
No, dude, they're big, thick guys. They have the same build. And they got the same last name. Guest.
I mean, it's Perez. It's not like
That's like Smith in the Latino community.
I got confused, man. When I saw Salvador Perez in the lineup, I thought my man came out of retirement.
I will say this: I feel like Salvador Perez has been playing for 25 years.
Yeah, he
feels
feels right.
I think he was in the '99 All-Star game.
he is.
He's the Ed Cota of baseball.
I don't know how. What's his name? Vinny Pasquantino. Is that his name?
Yeah.
How's he not a Philly? That's just South Philly name.
Hey, yo, Vinny Pass.
Vinny C. Hey.
Pasquantino. Yo.
Salvador Perez debuted in 2011. So for a catcher to be around that long is, although he's not doing a ton of catching anymore, he's been around for some time.
He can mash though. You're right. I agree. Something they are sneaky good. Cole Reagans is he's good too.
Yeah. All right, Al, hit us with your World Series pick.
Well, about a month ago, you guys know this if you've been listening to the show for a while. I told you about how my brother-in-law, Dan, listener on the pod, gave me shit that all three of us picked against the Eagles at one point in week 1 against the Packers. So he said to me, you got to be a relentless homer and you just got to go all in Philly all the time. And when it comes to the Phillies and it comes to this team, the 2024 Phillies, I am all in. And I think that the only thing stopping them, we talked about it, is themselves. But because of the wear and tear, because of the battle scars of the last 2 years, this seems like and this feels like the year. The only thing I worry about is just the discomfort as a fan personally of having what I consider to be the favorite in the NL to make it to the World Series. I just hate that feeling. I hate the expectations that come along with it. But I think the players are ready for it. I have the Phillies over the Yankees in 6 games in the World Series.
All right.
So baseball is a wild game, as we know, and the playoffs can be wild. I'm going to go with a gross World Series prediction here.
Oh, God.
The San Diego Padres freak me out. All right. And I hope I'm wrong with this, but I'm going to go San Diego losing in 6 games to the versus Cleveland Guardians.
Woo. Talk about
The
no
Guardians
ratings.
bullpen is lights out. And we saw a little bit of them this year earlier when they were at Citizens Bank. They are quietly really good. Now, if you're a baseball junkie, you know how good they are. The casual person is going to probably let them sneak up on them a little bit. I'm not. I think they're really good. I think that they got an elite closer. They obviously have an elite bullpen, and I think they have enough offense to advance and get far in this postseason. So I think that the Guardians are going to end their drought this year in 6 games over the Padres.
I don't want to turn this into a Guardians segment, but do they have the starting pitching? Because when I look at the starting pitching on the Guardians, I don't know that I trust Tanner Bibby, Tanner Bybee, and Ben Lively. I don't know if I trust these guys, Guest.
Well, look, I mean, their ERA this year for their starting pitching was 4.4. But their bullpen was 2.57, which was the best in baseball. So they had the bullpen in baseball. We know how important the bullpens are. You could argue, I mean, there's an argument to be made that bullpens are equally, if not more important, the deeper you go in the postseason than the starters are. Look at the Phillies last year and even in 2022, especially 2022. We burned Dominguez and Alvarado. We pitched them into the ground because we had to. Because we didn't have
Bailey Falter in a game. We started Bailey Falter in a playoff game.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So and then on the flip side of that, look at how good we were in 08 with Madsen and Romero, Lidge. Like, bullpens are huge in the postseason, and they got one. And I just feel like, man, I don't know. I've had a feeling about them all season, and I'm gonna put my I guess my proverbial money where my mouth is on that.
No, you're
And
right.
I hope I'm wrong. I
really like Jose Ramirez. And now let me make up for my past discussions about the Perez's. Are Bo Naylor and Josh Naylor?
They're brothers.
Yes, they are. Yeah, they're
Right.
twins, actually, aren't they? Aren't they twins?
There you go.
I
Drop
don't know
that.
if they're twins. They're definitely brothers.
Yeah, they are brothers. Yeah.
All right. I have one more Phillies question I wanted to bring up earlier, and we'll just do it. One number answer, because then we'll give you a scale. 1 to 10. How comfortable are you with Carlos Estevez closing games in the playoffs? Al?
8.
Oof.
Yeah, I'd say like a 7.
Yeah, he's been getting hit around a little bit. I'll probably go closer to 5.5. All right. Listen, we're going to keep this last part. We're going to go 5 minutes or less here because there's not a lot to talk about. Eagles lose 33-16 to Tampa Bay. Was never really a game. They were at 24-0 if you blinked an eye, or had plans from 1 to 2 o'clock on Sunday. Hurts gets sacked 6 times. Takeaways from the game.
Give me my flowers. 2 weeks ago, you guys were busting my balls in the text. Not a good week for Al because of the Reed Blankenship has the game-ending interception. Hurts with the game-winning drive. Flipped the script this past week, boys. Hurts looked like shit again. 2 fumbles, leaving the pocket early, missing open receivers. Reed Blankenship blown plays all over the field.
Well, first of all, we agree on Blankenship.
Because the one-trick pony was a step late getting to the ball like he always is 90% of the time. The defense takes a huge step backward in just 1 week. They go back to looking absolutely horrendous, and they make Baker Mayfield look like the guy that was in the booth calling the game, Tom Brady, for 60 minutes. Dude, this team is in shambles, man.
Yeah, that was a top-notch rant right there. That was top-notch.
Well, you know what? Speaking of top-notch, and flowers, I'm going to give him to Tom Brady. I think he did a good job in that game. He got a lot of heat early in the year for help, and rightfully so. I thought he did a good job in that game for Fox. The Eagles did not. The Eagles did not do a fine job. In fact, Al, I had the text message literally typed, ready to send when Hurts came back and won that game. And we'll never see it because they didn't allow us to see it. But he didn't. He was part of that. The turnover was huge that he had. The strip sack was a huge part. We were driving, and if we scored there, it's a touchdown. It's a one possession game with a whole quarter to play. Anything could happen. The Bucks could get tight. Baker could get tight, and we had a lot of opportunities we missed. We missed an opportunity before the half to make some inroads in that deficit. And it's just disappointing. The defense is there's no pride there. We got guys tweeting. The source was very accurate on Devin White. We have a guy who is supposed to be professional sitting there retweeting or liking or whatever the hell he wants to say he did with guys that are on a different team that are playing his current team. I've never seen that before. I've never heard of that in the NFL ever. I don't know how he's not cut already as we speak. That was the total disrespect of those guys in that locker room. The guy, well, again, diversity on my thunder. Jordan Davis, I know it was hot as balls, bro. But dude, like, I don't know where did he play? I don't even know if he played.
Dude, if I'm the Eagles, I would have him on the Microsoft tablets. I would have him watching V2V highlights. Forget watching his own shit where he's just standing up and just getting dominated and pancake. What? Because Big V is just as big, and he dominated that game.
You gotta want it, dude. You gotta want
it. Exactly, Seltzer, 100%. I don't understand how, like, I coach freaking middle school kids. These guys are in the NFL, and I can see this guy's flaw, and the NFL coaches can't. Why can't they fix this kid? This kid comes in every game way too high in the trenches, and he gets bull rushed, and he's big as it is, so it's hard for him to get lower. I get that, but like that's why we don't see a lot of tackles that big. We don't see a lot of players in the NFL that big unless they're on the O-line, where it's a different skill set. But Jalen Carter was absent. We had Tristan McCullum in there throwing up a few. You know what? I give him credit because he threw up, like they said, like 2 or 3 times and still kept ticking and trying to get in the game and got messed up like everybody else did. At least he was still trying to give it all he had.
You give one guy on the defense credit right now, and that's Brandon Graham. That's the only
and he's just 100%.
Mitchell's been good.
And Quignon, but Brandon Graham doing what he's doing at his age when he can pack it in, watching all these guys around him pack it in, and he doesn't. I mean, that's to be commended.
But where's the adjustment? So, like, we talk about Fangio being this great coordinator. Like, if you're so great, make your system work with anybody. Don't sit there and say, I can't use this guy. He ain't my guy. He ain't my kind of guy. He ain't my kind of like that's to me, that's not an elite coordinator or coach. You should be like, look at Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra, they could put the three of us in there with Bam and somebody else, and we'll win games. That's a great coach. For me, when you got a guy like they're sitting there and they the perfect game plan. Don't let the Eagles even try to put pressure on Baker. We're getting the ball out to the sides. We're going horizontal. We're getting them in space. They can't chase. They can't tackle. And that's exactly what happened. And there was never an adjustment. We stayed in zone or we stayed off the ball. The corners played back. No one crept up. It didn't make any sense. Again, they're in the NFL. Why are they not seeing these adjustments that need to be made? I don't understand it.
Yep.
The problem was they blamed the coordinators and threw them under the bus and made them seem like that was the entire problem last year. And granted, it was a part of the problem, but there was more to it, and they didn't do anything to fix it. And this core of players does not have any guts. They do not have any heart, and it's all of them. It's the defense, it's the offense, it's all of it.
I think it's just a poorly coached team as well with their from their head coach. I think that a lot of their offense. I forget the guy's name that was you guys probably saw it, but one of the NFL reporters, and he said he's watched every Eagles game twice for his job, and he was like, "That's not Kellen Moore's offense," and it screams that Sirianni has more to say and more doing in this offense than he's leading on, and that the Eagles are leading on. I can't help but to think he's more influential than we think he is, or that he's trying to tell us that he is to save face. The other problem is the other common denominator is the quarterback. Do you say if the first part's wrong, then the second part has to be true, which is that the quarterback can't properly execute this offense. It's one or the other.
Jalen used to be fast, and now he runs like Jameis Winston. That's all.
He used to have a ball with zip on it. He used to place a ball. Dude, his balls to the sidelines are so far out of bounds. Andy Dalton looks better than him right now. And I'm not saying that to be funny. Like, he does not make good passes.
I think there's a trust issue that he has within himself. I don't think he really trusts himself the way he did 2 years ago for whatever reason. If it's the injury, if it's his psyche, I don't know what it is. He just doesn't look like the same guy, obviously. And I feel like his struggles have just not gotten better. And it makes me feel like he's a decent quarterback. You can win with him. But at the same time, you're not going to win because of him.
He might have.
And I think we may have seen the best of him at this point. And I hate to say that, and I hope I'm wrong. But, I mean, he still is you're sitting there showing everybody you still can't read defenses. You're still scared to make tight throws. And you still can't protect the ball.
He might have the yips guess, but here's my hot take right now that I've been spreading around. He's the fourth best quarterback in this division right now.
Yeah, that's
not right. Third, I'll give you.
Daniel Jones, I have a feeling, is going to have one of those like when he finally gets out of New York. He's going to go to some other team that gives him an offensive line and gives him some receivers, dude. He makes plays.
10:05 on October
1st. Let's fully judge Jalen when he has his receivers back as well.
Oh, please. I've seen enough over the last 15 games.
Eagles on the bye week this week. Let's close with our best bets. Speaking of bad takes, Al, we got to get you off the schneid here, dude.
Well, let me go last. I don't even have one. But here are my best bets: that Devontae Adams is he's going to go to DC, and the Commanders are going to win the division. That's my best bet.
I think.
Well, listen, who was on the Commanders from off the rip?
Speaking of the Commanders, I'll go first with my best bets. Listen, I'm a firm believer, especially in this NFL, that nothing is as good as it seems from week to week. And we've seen that with a ton of different teams. There's a line out there. Al, you talked last year about seeing the line, smelling the line. The Washington Commanders, who have looked like a top 5 NFL team the last 2 weeks with their wins against Cincinnati and against Arizona last week, beating them by 35 or whatever it was, are only laying 3.5 at home against the Cleveland Browns. Give me the Browns to go in there and give Jaden Daniels a little bit of a reality check. That Commanders team's feeling themselves a little bit. That line to me should be more like 5 or 6 based on the way these teams have played this year. I think it's a little low, and I think it's because Cleveland's going to go in there and that defense is going to cause some problems. I'll take the Browns plus the 3.5 against the Commanders. Playing in the mud again this week.
There's fishy lines all over the board.
It's hard because a lot of these teams don't show up week to week. You don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, you're right.
Chris?
I mean, I didn't have a pick until just now. I'm just looking through the schedule here, but I am very confident in this one. I will bet on anybody. It could be the I don't know, IHM CYO against the Dolphins without Tua in that offense. Mike McDaniel is an idiot, and I think between him and Sirianni, they're battling for the worst coaches in football. New England is going to host that game as really a pick 'em. I think New England's like -1. Give me the Patriots.
Okay.
Give me the Patriots on that. I mean, if you're having like a suicide pool and you got to pick the Pats at some point, this is a great week to do it.
All right, Chris is on the Patriots.
Guys, we're both going to be in Foxborough this week. I texted this to you guys. Is Tua the GOAT?
No. McDaniel's an idiot.
But can someone explain to me how that offense is so high powered with Tua, and then without him, it's complete shit?
With a Pro Bowl quarterback, Tyler Huntley.
How dare I? Diversa, what's the magician level on Tyler Huntley? Drop it in the chat. I'm staying in New England, guest. I got the under in that game, under 35.5. They backdoored the over the other night, last night in the Monday night game when it was 9-3 at halftime. Somehow it went over. I'm taking the under 35.5. No one's scoring any points in that game. Yeah,
I can see that like a 20-3 game or something. Listen, like I said, the coach is just like if you go on the Dolphins, like their fan boards, whatever, like they are ripping McDaniel. His offense, like he had plays when they're trailing in the game. He's calling plays where they're like throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. They're doing all kind of like strange stuff, man. Strange stuff. I don't trust that dude or that team without a decent quarterback, and they don't have one near decent at this point in time. And they're on the road. You gotta believe, like just like the Eagles locker room, you gotta believe the Dolphins locker room is like, yo, what are we doing? Especially with guys like Waddle and Tyreek just not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
All right.
Real quick.
Chris is on New England. Al's on the under 35.5, New England, Miami, and I'm on the Browns plus 3.5.
Weekly check-in for the rest of the season. Who do you want? Sirianni and Hurts, or Raheem Morris and Kirk Cousins?
Raheem Morris and Kirk Cousins.
I mean, I'm a big pedigree person. I can't. These guys been to a Super Bowl. I got to still say the Eagles guys.
Sirianni and Hurts, or Bowles and Bake? Bowles.
Bowles and Bake. Bake is good.
He is good.
He was number 1 pick in the draft. It's not like he came out of nowhere.
Right. No, I'm glad that you said that.
I'm not in disagreement with you.
And the same thing with Sam Darnold. He might be a late bloomer.
Right.
Like he's been playing really good.
Take Darnold though, and O'Connell last week.
Who said? Somebody had a quote that said, "The QB does not make the organization makes the QB."
That's
and
great.
I believe that. You go to Jets, you go to the Browns, Bears, you're gonna stink.
Yeah. Look at Carolina. Carolina, like they're
one.
Yeah. You asked me a question.
Bacon bowls.
You want bacon bowls or not?
Bacon bowls. It's bacon. I'm still thinking Sirianni.
You're out of your mind, dude. You're out of your
mind. Are you talking about just for this week?
Yeah, for this year.
No, for the rest of this season, and then we go back to Hurts and Sirianni after the season's over.
No, I'm still taking What is
Bowles? So wait, who do you think is better, Hurts? Who do you think is better, Hurts or Bake?
Say it again.
Who's better, Hurts or Bake?
I mean, right now Baker is, but
okay. So then you think Bowles? So you think Sirianni's better than Bowles?
Come on, dude.
No, I'm just saying.
Why are you taking Bacon? Why are you taking Hurts?
That's not a fair way to look at it.
Why is it not?
That's the point of the exercise.
You said for the season. I can't tell you right now Baker Mayfield's gonna be like an MVP candidate for the rest of the season, and Jalen Hurts is gonna be trashed. I don't know that right now. They are.
I know they're playing
quarter of the way into the season.
But the last 2 times they played, Baker has whooped up on them twice.
That's great. Well, there's 31 other teams that he got to play. So he also got beat up by the Broncos last week.
Yeah, he beat the Lions though.
All right, so he's a decent quarterback. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying I can't put him over Jalen Hurts. So wait a minute. So how high are you going to go with this dude? We're going to put him a top 5 quarterback now?
No, Baker's probably top 12.
Okay. So out of curiosity at this point, where would you have Hurts?
Not top half.
Between 15 and 20.
Not top half, guest.
All right. That's fair. I mean, he's earned that spot. So
Jackson, Allen, Burrow, Stroud, Mahomes. You got Rodgers.
Burrow this year?
Yeah, Burrow's still better than him.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Dak, Goff, Stafford, Darnold.
Goff can play, man. You know guys that can play?
Daniels, Bake, and Geno.
That
had
guys
to be at least 12.
You talk about guys that can play. Goff needs respect on his knee.
Yeah,
Geno's always a joke. The guy can sling it.
Geno too, dude. Geno looked great against.
Yeah, Geno's a nice little player too.
Yeah, what about Jay Fields? People are asking in the chat.
Yeah, no, Diverse, I'm not showing that. you're gonna get banned, dude. That's how you get banned.
Jay Fields,
you're out.
Couple good games.
I'm putting him in a timeout. I could put him in a timeout.
Oh, Justin. 3-1. You'd rather have Tomlin and Justin Fields?
100%.
Al?
I'm out on that.
Okay.
Listen, the gap between Tomlin and Sirianni is significantly wider than the gap between Fields and Hurts.
So who's the worst? Who's the worst in the league right now with quarterback coach combo? I would say Canales and Bryce Young.
Well, Bryce is not the starter.
No, but I'm saying as far as the projection or whatever.
What about? Let me just give
who's Tennessee's coach? Him and Levis.
Oh, Callahan.
Yeah,
that's up there.
Well, they made Rudolph look all right the other night.
What about Crusher Doug and Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah,
up there,
right?
And I mean, until they make a move. I mean, I know he's a new coach, but so is Canales. So Brissett and Gerard Mayo's up there.
Yeah, but they knew that doesn't count because it's almost like they didn't even try.
True. And Mayo's a good coach. I mean,
we don't know. Same way we don't know with Canales. Like if we're gonna put them,
yeah, it's true too. Yeah. I just think it's just hard. It's a good exercise, but it's also a frustrating exercise because
it's meant to be.
There's a lot of different caveats you could have, I think, in that decision. But you guys are good, it's almost Embiid hate season coming up.
You drop 25 pounds. Yeah, like every year. You still show up out of shape. We got to ramp them up. They said.
Yes, would you rather have Sirianni and Hurts or Doc and Giannis?
Can't wait for
him. We don't have to go in the Giannis victory tour, Al. All right.
All right. We're off the rail. We're off the rails a little bit here. We're gonna wrap it up.
We got time. Our sponsors know we got some time on the clock here. Somebody somewhere bought a Paul Reed in a mud shirt. Or a Paul Reed Victory Tour shirt. That what are you gonna do with that shirt now?
I have to transfer it to the Pistons.
That's in the good. I forgot he's on the Pistons.
I still got my Paul Reed stock. All right, Phillies postseason starts this weekend, so stay tuned. Also, there will be a game 3, I believe, is Tuesday night. So stay tuned to our social for when we will be going live. We're thinking Monday, but it had not yet confirmed. So stay tuned for that. But until next week, we'll drop that beat.
You'll know when you'll see us again.